Faster.
Why do we have to have a blooper roll for every fucking video we do?
Yeah.
Okay. What do I want to talk about? Black and white film, I guess. Right? Welcome to the photo department. I am not drinking any coffee right now because it is 5 o'clock p.m. But today, earlier, I did drink some 4-barrel, and then I had some 49th Parallel. So I'm pretty caffeinated, which is good, because today I'm going to show you how I do my developing process for C-41 color film, which is a stand development process that I kind of developed over time. And I wanted to give a disclaimer that this process is not, I didn't figure this out in a lab. I didn't go and make sure everything was exactly perfect every way. I didn't have like strict controls, and I didn't by any means do any math or write things down or do too much in the way of scientific method to figure this out. Basically what I did is I took a black and white stand method and then I modified it to where I got repeatable good results with C-41, and then I just applied it. So basically what I'm doing in this video is just showing you what the process looks like. I'm going to speed up the video a little bit so it's not you sitting there for however long watching me do it. It's basically to show you what the process is like and what the end result is usually going to be. I can say with 100% certainty that I have absolutely gotten repeatable results from this process, but it did take a bunch of me trying and failing to get it right. C-41 processing is a normal process. That means that regardless of the ISO of the film or the type of film, all of the films are going to be processed the same way with the same time, which is great because it means that translating this to a stand development process is a little bit easier than black and white. Black and white is not a normal process, so different types of film take different development times. So figuring out stand development for black and white was actually a little bit more difficult than for color. Basically what I'm doing with this process is taking the temperature aspect out of it and adding more time. So usually with C-41 processing, you want to be around 101, 102 degrees Fahrenheit with your water. Everything in the process is at the same temperature. It has to stay at that temperature in order to have correct results. Although this is doable, it's kind of a pain in the butt. I've tried using aquarium heaters. I've tried taking it straight from the tap and then making sure to wait till it cools down to the right temperature and then doing it quickly. I've tried a lot of different ways. There's one other way I want to try, but it's a little bit more expensive. I want to purchase a sous vide machine, and there are definitely people out there who use this method to do C-41, and it's really cool. I want to try that as well, but I haven't purchased a sous vide machine yet, and I haven't tried doing it that way. So point is, I am subtracting the temperature aspect and using room temperature or colder water, and I'm adding time. The theory behind this process is that since the film is sitting in the chemicals for longer and there's no agitation, that the chemicals that are up against the film will be exhausted quicker and the film will only develop as much as it needs to. I found that black and white stand development works best up to like an hour. After about an hour, you're not developing any more, you're not developing any less. The hour is like the perfect mark for black and white. After that, the highlights have only developed to a certain amount, the blacks have only developed to a certain amount, and they're not going to go any further, so you don't have any chance of blowing out the highlights or losing detail in the darks. Also with black and white stand development, the chemistry is dilute by a lot. I use Rodinol, a very, very good black and white developer, and it's very cheap. I also use a very, very, very small amount because I dilute it so much, and it's lasted me a long time. I've had my bottle of Rodinol I think for about a year, and I've done well over 100 rolls through it, which is really cool. With color processing, the C-41 chemicals are going to be full strength, so it's not going to be diluted at all. They're going to be in the chemicals for 45 minutes. This is a great process if you are really busy and you want to be doing other things while you're processing film. I, for instance, do a lot of my professional photography on digital, and so when I want to process film, I can throw it in the tank, let it sit for 45 minutes, and then I have 45 minutes to process digital files and do other stuff, or eat, or take a nap, or go outside and have a coffee, or pretty much anything else. It allows you to have more time and more flexibility. like I said before, disclaimer, I cannot be 100% certain that you're going to get the same results that I'm going to get. I am not saying this is any better than a regular C-41 lab. I get really great results using color labs in my area, like Berkeley, the photo lab. They're really fantastic. I take all my slide photography to them, and they're very, very good at what they do. I've also sent it out to Richard Photo Lab and tons of other places, and I believe that you definitely should support those places, those brick and mortar places, those labs, and send your film to them. But sometimes it's fun and kind of zen to process your own film. So let's take a look. I'm going to go order a pizza, and then we'll get started. Pizza's important. Alright, so if you've ever done any film development, this is going to be obvious, but this is the stuff you're going to need. You need a development tank for obvious reasons. You're also going to need spools to spool your film onto. These do 35mm or 120, which is pretty cool. And then this is to open up the 35mm canister. It's just a cheap can opener. Photochemicals only in this graduated cup for measuring, and then also a funnel, obviously. Then changing bag. This one I got from Amazon. It was pretty cheap, and the zipper doesn't work anymore, so I don't recommend buying this one, but I'm too cheap to buy another one. Only the Velcro on the back works, so when I got everything into the bag for changing, I have to put my blankets over the other side just to make sure that it's light tight. I really don't trust the Velcro to keep it light tight. So once I got everything spooled up, ready to go, then we go into the tank. I'm always wearing latex gloves when I'm handling C-41 chemicals, especially because the Blix is really nasty and I really don't want to get that on my hands or my clothing, and I really should be wearing like goggles and maybe a mask, but I feel like my bathroom's pretty well ventilated, so I'm not really that worried about it. First thing first, 45 minutes on the clock, and in goes the developer. After the developer is in, the first 30 seconds I agitate it about 2 to 3 times every 10 seconds, and then I let it sit for 44.5 minutes. I let it sit. I don't touch it. I don't screw with it. I don't invert it. Some people like to invert it, but it's not really necessary. After the full 45 minutes is up, it goes right back into the bottle it came from. All the developer is out, but I don't do a bath in between. Some people will do a rinse bath in between the developer and the Blix, but I do not. I go straight in with the Blix. Now, the Blix, some people will say you should do it for a full 45 minutes. Some people say to do it for less. I do it for 6 minutes as if it were the heated process, and I agitate every 30 seconds for 10 seconds, and then I pour it back into the container and start the bath. The water bath, usually it says to do an Ilford bath, which is a very specific way of inverting a specific number of times, but I don't care about doing it that way. I know how to wash film to make sure that it's clean, so I just do a very rigorous tap water bath, and then I kind of plunge the film up and down in the water to make sure all of the chemicals are off the film. And it works pretty well. I haven't had any problems yet. The final stage of processing this film is going to be the stabilizer, and there is a lot of debate on whether you should use PhotoFlow or stabilizer with C-41. I, for one, stick with what comes in the C-41 box, which includes stabilizer, so I don't use PhotoFlow on my C-41 processed film. I only use stabilizer. I use PhotoFlow when I do black and white, but I just keep that separate as far as black and white and color goes. After the stabilizer's been cooking, going for like a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes, pull the film out, squeegee it off, and you're done. All the photographs that you'll see here are examples of film that I've processed at home using this C-41 process with this same C-41 kit. I've processed Fuji Natro 1600, Fuji Pro 400H, Kodak Ektar, Kodak Portra. I've even done, some of the cheaper Fuji Superia and Kodak Golds, and everything comes out looking really great if I do it properly. I've even used it to process Cinestill 800. I just used it to process my first roll of Cinestill 50D, which is the daylight balance version, and everything looks really great if I am patient and I make sure I pay attention to every step, and I'm careful while I'm taking pictures to make sure my exposures are correct, and I don't rush anything, it comes out really great. I've been really happy with this process and really excited to be able to have a repeatable, really great looking, really reliable process for doing my own color film at home. It's hard sometimes to be able to afford taking your film to a lab, and I know that film can be really expensive for some people, so this is a viable alternative for those times when you're really crunching numbers and you can't really afford to go to the lab at $7 to $13 a pop for processing and scanning. So I'm glad that I could show this to you guys. Thank you for watching, and please check out the links below for more information. See ya.